I remember the exact moment it hit me. I wasn't even doing anything dramatic. I just bent down to tie my shoes and felt that heaviness. Not just physical, something deeper. Like the person I used to be, the one with energy, with drive, with a body that responded had quietly walked out the door. And nobody told me why? No doctor explained it? No diet fixed it? I just kept being told, you're getting older. This is normal. But it wasn't normal. It was a gut barrier breaking down. It was metabolic signals going silent. It was one tiny morning habit done wrong. Every single day, quietly keeping my body in an inflamed, fat-storing state. The moment I understood that, everything changed. And in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to make sure it changes for you too. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome. This channel is built on one thing: real science, explained simply, so you can actually use it. No fluff, no fads, no generic advice that doesn't work after 40. If that's what you're looking for, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the bell. Because I drop new videos every single day, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Alright, let's get into it. Part 1. The morning water ritual. The moment you wake up before coffee. Before your phone, before anything else, I want you to do something different with your water. And it takes less than 15 seconds. Most people grab their water and immediately swallow it down. Fast, automatic, without thinking. But what they don't realize is they are missing the single most powerful step of their entire morning. Here's what I want you to do instead. Take a sip, hold it in your mouth, and slowly swish it around for about 15 seconds before you swallow it. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds almost too simple to matter. But here's what's happening inside your body, and it is not simple. Your mouth is loaded with thousands of sensory receptors directly wired to your brain and your entire digestive system. The moment water touches your tongue, your cheeks, your gums, those receptors immediately fire signals up to your brainstem. And this activates something called the cephalic phase response. Brainstem lighting up, arrows going to stomach, pancreas, salivary glands. This is your body's preparation mode. Before anything even reaches your stomach, your salivary glands start pumping out digestive enzymes. Your stomach begins producing digestive acids. Your pancreas gets ready to release its own digestive juices. Your entire system wakes up because of 15 seconds of swishing water. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Those same mouth receptors are directly connected to the vagus nerve, one of the most important nerves in the human body. The vagus nerve controls your heart rate, your digestion, your stress response, your entire nervous system balance. When you slowly swish that water, you are gently stimulating the vagus nerve, helping push your body out of that groggy, inflamed morning state and into an alert, balanced, metabolically active state. Person gulping water, fast red X, versus person swishing slowly, green checkmark. Most people rush water straight down. It moves through the system too fast, bypassing those sensory pathways completely. But when you hold water in your mouth and let it mix with your saliva, you are preconditioning it. Your body recognizes it better, absorbs it more efficiently. At the cellular level, that's why within minutes you can feel more refreshed, more awake, more mentally clear. Not from coffee, not from supplements, from water used correctly. Person sitting up in bed, morning light, taking a slow sip of water, peaceful. Intentional. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, take that first sip. Swish it slowly for 15 seconds. Feel it move around your mouth. Then swallow. Pause, and notice what your body does. Your mouth will feel more alive. Your brain more awake. Your body like it's turning on the right way. Once you feel it, you will never go back to mindlessly gulping water again. Why your gut controls everything: glowing, intestinal lining, microbiome animation. Now that morning ritual activates your system. But to keep fat burning throughout the day, especially if you are over 40, we need to talk about your gut. Because here is the truth that the fitness industry doesn't want to lead with. The reason everything is making you fat now is not your willpower. It is not your discipline. It is your gut barrier, your microbial signaling, your inflammatory pathways. And there are 3 specific mechanisms that control all of this. Once you understand them, the right foods become completely obvious, and the wrong ones become impossible to ignore. Mechanism 1, Mechanism 2, Mechanism 3, appearing one by one. Let's break them down one by one. Mechanism 1, gut barrier, integrity, microscopic animation of gut lining, tight junctions, zoomed in. Gaps appearing with age. Over a century ago, a scientist named Elie Metchnikoff proposed something that sounded absolutely crazy at the time. He suggested that many of the symptoms we call aging, the inflammation, the fat gain, the energy loss, actually stem from a weakening intestinal barrier. When the gut lining breaks down, microbial products leak directly into your bloodstream. Your immune system treats them like an invasion. Chronic inflammation fires up, and your body starts storing fat like it's preparing for a war it can't win. Gut breakdown gives inflammation, gives insulin resistance, gives more fat, gives more gut breakdown. Modern research from the International Journal of Medical Microbiology confirms this cycle completely. Gut barrier breakdown and gut dysbiosis reinforce each other, creating a loop of inflammation, insulin resistance, and visceral fat accumulation that gets harder and harder to break with every passing year. The gut lining weakens, gives inflammatory signals increase, gives the microbiome destabilizes, gives more inflammatory compounds called lipopolysaccharides flood the system, gives some more inflammation, gives the lining weakens further. Round and round. So this is why fat loss gets so much harder after 40. It is not a mystery, it is a mechanism. And here is how you break the cycle with 3 specific foods. Food number 1, pomegranates. Fresh pomegranate, cut open, close-up of seeds. Deep red color research discussed in nutrition journals shows that pomegranate polyphenols directly stimulate the expression of tight junction proteins, the molecular seals that hold your gut lining together. These polyphenols don't just act as they operate as signaling molecules that tell your gut cells to hold their structure under stress. And here's the part I love. You barely need much. Even small, consistent exposure does the job. We're talking a tablespoon a week. That's it. Food number 2, green tea. Steam rising from a greenteacup.com. Clean visual green tea shows up in the exact same research. The compounds in it, particularly EGCG, are directly associated with tight junction expression and a more favorable gut environment. Instead of your gut lining becoming increasingly permeable under the normal stress of aging, green tea sends the signal to hold together. And here's something interesting. Have you ever noticed pomegranate green tea sold together? Now you know exactly why that combination works. Food number 3, chickpeas. Chickpeas contain specific compounds including biotin A that have been highlighted in research for their role in gene expression directly related to gut barrier function. This is not about calories. This is not about macros. This is about specific molecular signals that turn on the genes responsible for maintaining gut structure. Genes that start going quiet after 40 if you don't feed them properly. What to avoid completely now, just as important as what to add, is what to remove. Polysorbate 60, 80, and 20, these are food emulsifiers found in processed foods, and they are extremely well documented to destroy the gut mucosal layer. They literally emulsify your gut lining the same way they emulsify food ingredients. The research on this is not ambiguous. Carrageenan, found in many dairy alternatives and processed products. The evidence around gut damage is concerning enough to avoid it entirely. Alcohol, one of the worst things for gut barrier integrity. Full stop. Add the 3 foods. Remove these 3 things. That is mechanism 1 handled. Mechanism to short-chain fatty acid signaling, butyrate molecules moving through gut wall, lighting up cell receptors. This is where aging really starts changing the rules, quietly, sneakily, starting around 30, and accelerating hard after 40. A study published in Nutrients showed that short-chain fatty acid production declines significantly with age. Butyrate, the most important of these, drops sharply after 50. Total short-chain fatty acids decline even more dramatically every 5 years after that. SCFA decline with age. Clean, simple chart. Now why does this matter so much? Because short-chain fatty acids are not just gut fuel. They are signaling molecules. They tell your body how to regulate metabolism. They control inflammation levels. They influence which genes get expressed and which ones get locked away. They literally help your body burn fat by keeping the right metabolic pathways open and active. DNA strand, locker metaphor. Key equals short-chain fatty acids. There's even a process called histone destase inhibition, and short-chain fatty acids do this naturally. In simple terms, they keep your important genes accessible instead of stuffed in a genetic locker. You know that feeling? I used to be able to eat that, and it was fine. What happened? Those genes didn't disappear. They got locked up. And short-chain fatty acids are the key. Here are the foods that produce them. Food number 4, plantains green, plantains whole, and sliced. Bright, clean image plantains are loaded with resistant starch, a carbohydrate that doesn't get digested in the small intestine. It travels all the way to the colon intact, where gut microbes ferment it directly into short-chain fatty acids. Plantain chips work too, as long as they're clean, with no refined oils or weird additives. Food number 5, unripe green bananas. Green, unripe bananas, close-up texture, shot, same. Fundamental mechanism as plantains, but with an interesting advantage. Green bananas stay in the gut longer than ripe ones. That extended transit time means they feed gut bacteria for a longer period, producing more beneficial metabolites. More signaling activity. Not the sweetest thing you'll ever eat, but incredibly effective. Food number 6, artichokes. Fresh artichoke, dramatic close-up, then packet artichokes. Artichokes contain long-chain inulin, and this is probably the single most effective fermentable fiber for short-chain fatty acid production that exists. It's why artichokes consistently show up in every serious, aging-related microbiome study. If fresh artichokes feel like a pain to source, they also come in convenient ready-to-eat packets, and you can find clean versions through specialty grocery sources. I eat them all the time. Dead simple. Food number 7, chicory root raw, and as a supplement, massively underrated. Often misunderstood as just a coffee alternative, but chicory root is a powerhouse inulin source for microbial fermentation. In the right amounts, it's incredibly strong for short-chain fatty acid production. Start small and build up. Too much too fast can cause bloating while your gut adjusts. Food number 8, specific nuts with a critical caveat. Almonds, pistachios, Brazil nuts, macadamia nuts, clean flat lay almonds, pistachios, Brazil nuts, macadamia nuts. These ferment in the colon and contribute meaningfully to short-chain fatty acid production. But here's the caveat, and this is important. Keep it to 1 ounce, 2 at most per sitting. Beyond that, the phytic acid content, especially in cashews and large amounts of almonds, begins impairing gut integrity rather than supporting it. The dose makes the poison here. 1 ounce benefit. 3 ounces you've started working against yourself. It's why I personally stopped cooking with almond flour. Just too much phytic acid in the quantities you'd actually use. Blood-brain barrier animation, molecules crossing, brain lighting up. The third mechanism is where things get genuinely fascinating and where most people get the science completely backwards. Most people assume the benefit of polyphenols comes from absorbing them. They eat blueberries and think, great, antioxidants absorbed, job done. Research from ACS Chemical Neuroscience showed that only a small fraction of polyphenols are actually absorbed directly into the bloodstream. The real benefit, the profound benefit, comes from what your gut microbiome does with them after digestion. And some of these microbial metabolites are powerful enough to cross the blood-brain barrier. Neuroinflammation, before versus after. Warm to cool, color shift, a study in molecular nutrition and food. Research found that these microbial metabolites directly protect neuronal cells from damage. A study in Nature showed that berry-derived metabolites modulate microglial inflammation. That's the immune and inflammation system embedded inside your brain. So polyphenols done right through a healthy gut are not just a fat loss tool. They are a brain protection tool. Here are the best sources. Food number 9, dark chocolate. Dark chocolate broken into pieces. Close-up, rich visual. Dark chocolate contains polyphenols that once metabolized by gut microbes produce significant fat loss, metabolic, and anti-inflammatory effects. The key is moderation. Some dark chocolate contains cadmium, particularly cheaper brands. But here's something worth knowing. Regular sauna use is one of the most effective ways to excrete cadmium from the body. So if you love dark chocolate, keep your sauna practice consistent. Food number 1, pomegranates again, for a different reason. Pomegranate seeds close-up, rich red, dramatic lighting. Pomegranates appeared in Mechanism 1 for gut barrier support. Here in Mechanism 3, they appear again because gut microbes convert pomegranate polyphenols into urolithium, a postbiotic compound with remarkable effects on cellular health, mitochondrial function, and metabolic signaling. 2 mechanisms. 1. Food, that's efficiency. Food number 1, hazelnuts whole, and cracked open rich polyphenol profile. Expands microbial diversity meaningfully, and critically low phytic acid content. One of the genuinely safest nuts for gut-sensitive individuals. Consistent hazelnut intake is associated with expanded microbial species diversity, which is exactly what we need to keep polyphenol metabolism working properly. Food number 12, pecans. Pecans whole, on wooden surface, same concept as hazelnuts, but with a different polyphenol fingerprint. And that difference matters because different polyphenols produce different postbiotic metabolites. Eating the same foods every day gives you the same metabolic outputs. Rotating hazelnuts one day, pecans another, gives you diversity of metabolites and a more resilient microbiome overall. Daily food framework. For gut barrier support, pomegranates, even a small amount consistently. Green tea, daily. Chickpeas, a few times a week. For short-chain fatty acid production, plantains or green bananas, several times a week. Artichokes, as consistently as you can manage. Chicory root, small amounts. Build up slowly. Clean nuts, 1 to 2 ounces maximum. For polyphenol metabolism, blueberries or strawberries, daily if possible. Dark chocolate, moderate, quality matters. Capers, add them to whatever you're eating. Hazelnuts or pecans, rotate them for diversity. Remove these completely. Polysorbate emulsifiers, check your processed food labels. Carrageenan, especially in plant milks and creamers. Alcohol, especially if gut health is your primary goal right now. Excessive nuts, keep portions to 1 ounce per sitting. Before, after, gut diagram. Inflamed leaky gut gives healed intact barrier when you do this consistently. Here's what starts to happen. The gut barrier tightens. The inflammatory cycle begins to break. Short-chain fatty acid production increases. your metabolic genes come back online. Polyphenol metabolism becomes more efficient. Your brain gets the benefit downstream. And fat loss, which felt impossible, starts feeling possible again. Not because you starved yourself. Not because you killed yourself in the gym. But because your body's internal communication system is finally working with you instead of against you. Food number 13. Capers. Small jar of capers. Close-up underrated superfood energy. Nobody talks about capers enough. And that's a mistake. Capers are exceptionally high in quercetin, one of the most well-researched flavonoids in existence. Quercetin compounds consistently show up in research for their ability to influence inflammatory pathways and actually change measurable inflammatory markers, especially after microbial metabolism converts them into their active postbiotic forms. Small food, enormous impact. Food number 14. Blueberries and strawberries. Fresh blueberries and strawberries. Vibrant color, slow motion pour, save the best for last. The research on berries, especially blueberries, is not hype. The anthocyanins in berries get converted by gut microbes into compounds that can cross the blood-brain barrier and directly reduce neuroinflammation. This is why leading neuroscientists continue to cite blueberries as one of the most impactful foods for brain health, not because of the sugar, not because of the carbs, but because of what a healthy microbiome makes out of them. The benefit is downstream of digestion, which means without a healthy gut, you don't get the brain benefit either. Everything connects. Raspberries and blackberries are excellent too, but blueberries and strawberries give you the best return per serving. Consistently, that's everything. The morning ritual, the 3 mechanisms, the 14 foods, the full protocol. If this gave you something real, please share it with someone who needs it. Someone over 40 who's been frustrated and confused and told it's just normal aging. Because it's not just aging, it's a system that needs the right signals, and now you know what those signals are. Drop a comment below. Tell me which of the 14 foods surprised you the most. I read every single one. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button right now. I put out science-backed content every single week, and what's coming next is going to build directly on what you just learned. Because the next critical question is, what proteins actually support longevity as you age? Not just muscle growth, actual long-term resilience. I broke down the number 1 longevity protein for people over 40, and most people are getting this completely wrong. That video is right there. Watch it next, and I'll see you inside.